everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Bravo Bedside Banter. Meredith and I are here to chat all things Bravo, the Valley, Vanderpump, Jersey. What else? What else do we have? We've got a lot to
All
talk
the
about.
things. Yeah.
Where do you want to start today?
Well, first, I feel like we need to address this Vanderpump ending, this reunion, part 3. Did you see it?
I did see it. I have a lot of thoughts on, but it's not necessarily related to sex and relationships. I think my biggest frustration or ick was with Lala. Um, I felt so bad for Ariana watching it and how she thought Lala was her friend during it, and then realizing how Lala was talking behind her back because she was so jealous. And it's like, it's not cute to be jealous. It's really not.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like their situations were not the same, and she was trying to make those parallels. I was sad. I don't know about you, but like when I was watching it, they were showing them the montage that they did, and they were all like, you could tell that it was their actual real reaction to seeing it for the first time. It made me emotional a little.
It made me really, I had a tear that came down. I was like, I feel like I know these people. I've been watching them since the first episode, and now they're setting it up like the show's done. I think they haven't announced it, but I'm pretty sure the show's done.
I'm kind of feeling the same way. I feel like Sheena's definitely going to the Valley, and I feel like I could see Lala doing that too. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I really, really don't like that Lala uses motherhood and being a mom as an excuse for everything. It was driving me insane.
Yeah, she's gonna have to get a new storyline here.
Right. Like, I can do whatever I want because I'm a mother. You don't get it because you're a mother. And it's like, no, other people can understand you, and your life, your entire personality is not just being a mom. Like, you have
Yeah,
other things about you, Lala.
I know. So that was like, I don't know. That was just something that I feel like I wanted to chat with you about because I literally just watched it right before we started recording. I'm losing my voice right now.
That's
I'm
okay.
coming to you live from Allergyville, Colorado right now, where everything is covered in pollen.
Oh my god, I have a funny side story. I last week I had really bad allergies. I live in Hawaii and we had terrible rain, and I took Afrin for the first time, like you sprayed up your nose. I'd never tried it before. I woke up the next day and I had an allergic reaction to it, and I
What?
looked like someone put a clown nose on my face. Like, my nose was like bulbous, like it was round and bulbous and red, and I woke up and I was like, do I have to cancel all my client sessions today? Like, can I show, are they going to take me seriously? I literally have a clown nose.
Oh
Um
my God. How did you
so
recover?
luckily I got an antibiotic prescription, and I had some like steroid ointment that I had from something else that I put on the inside of my nose, and that helped it go away pretty quick. So within like a couple hours it was down, but I definitely woke up freaking out, and it was really not fun. So Afrin can cause allergic reactions. That's something I didn't know, and now I'll never try it again.
That's our public service announcement
Yeah.
for the people. I love it. So, also, right before I jumped on here with you, I have to share as a part of my sex coaching gig, I was helping a colleague of mine. He does a lot of tantric meditations. And of course, now that I sound like this, he asked me to help him record a couple of meditations. And the topic for the one that I filmed just right before we started recording today was on domination. And let me tell you, it was hot. It was so hot. And I was like having to take a pause and like breathe myself through having to record myself reading out this meditation. It was so good. So hopefully once I have the finished product, I'll be able to share it with everyone.
What is a like meditation on domination look like? What was it like for the viewers so that they know?
Well, without giving away too much of it, it was a lot about breathing into your power
Mm,
and visualizing your power. So it's with people, it's like very intro level, like how do you envision yourself as in a dom sub relationship, and what does that look like for you, and how do you breathe yourself into that?
mm.
And I love how he tied, because he wrote the script for everything, so I was just helping him out. I love that he tied chakras into it. And so, yeah, if he doesn't care, I will try to plug his info in the show notes and stuff.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you said it's really basic because honestly, I think that most great sex is pretty basic. It's not so many people. I'm curious if you feel this too, Meredith, but I have so many clients that come to me. I'd say particularly couples, and they come and they like want tips and tricks to make their sex life better. But
Yeah.
really, like a good sex life is just about being present and being embodied and being confident. And those are simple aspects. They're hard to do. I'm not going to minimize the fact that it's hard to be present and it's hard to be embodied and it's
Yeah.
hard to feel confident, but it's not about tips and tricks. It's like, and breath is the simplest and like easiest way for you to have great sex. Breathing into your body, using your breath to feel grounded, to feel centered, to notice what it feels like to have your hands on your own body or a partner's hands on your own body, and using breath to guide that sense of presence is such a simple and easy way to just make your sex life better.
Yes. I love that you actually just said that because, kind of a side note, I was watching The Valley,
Mhm.
and this most recent episode, was it Jesse? And he was like, I just had sex with Michelle this morning, and it was like I wasn't there. Did you watch
I
this
did.
one?
That's why I was late to recording because I was like, I've got to finish the episode.
Okay, but like I think that that also says like there's something about being present that your partner can pick up on. And whenever you are not present, that is so loud.
I would say the majority of complaints that couples come to me with, and I'm not going to gender this because I think it goes both ways, and it's also in like non-heterosexual relationships. But one partner will say like, "I just want to feel like they like sex. I just want to feel like they like sex."
Mm,
And what they're really saying is, "I want to feel like they're present. I want to feel like they're." Esther Perel says this incredibly. She's like, "Sex is not something we do; it's somewhere we go together. Like, I want to feel like we're going somewhere together, not that I'm doing something to you." And so much about that is being present in your body and feeling the sensations and also being vocal. And you don't have to be super kinky in what you're saying. You don't have to say like, "Oh my god, I love the way you touch my pussy." You could just say like, "That feels so good," or making noise, but also being vocal and giving your partner that feedback so they know that you're there with them on this journey and you're not doing something to them.
yeah. Wow, yeah,
Yeah.
that's so valuable. And I
Yeah.
think knowing what we know now, watching The Valley and hearing him say like it was almost as if wasn't there. I know exactly like what he's talking about, and I know I could almost feel that tension and that kind of. And also I want to say too, based on that scene, he said that her eyes were closed the entire time, and something that I immediately felt that I wanted to call out or to folks that are listening is that when you are having sex or being intimate or anything, it is not a bad thing to have your eyes closed. I think that that is totally separate from being embodied and being present. And sometimes, truthfully, you need your eyes closed to feel in your body. Sometimes, I mean, the best tool that I tell my clients is one of those sleep masks. Like, if you
Mhm.
need that, use it to feel in your body and feel and be present. I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. And I know that there are circumstances. It was already gone a long time ago, but
I love that you brought that up because that's the first thing I thought when he said that. That it's not a bad thing to have your eyes closed. I am someone that has my eyes closed most of the times during sex because otherwise I can get really easily distracted by things around me. And in
yeah.
order for me to feel present in my body and present in the moment, closing my eyes is like a very helpful tool for me to feel like I'm right there in this moment. And I know a lot of other people that feel the same way. You don't have to make eye contact the entire time to have good
Hmm.
sex or to have connected sex. And it,
I
it
love
kind of
that.
also reminded me last season on the Vanderpump reunion when Tom Sandoval was making fun of Ariana for wearing a shirt when she had sex. Well, last time we had sex, you had a
Oh,
t-shirt on. It's like, that's also okay. Like, it's okay to wear a t-shirt when you're having sex. Sometimes it can be kind of hot. Like, you're not allowed to take this off of me. You have to
yeah.
keep this on. You're not allowed to see me. The way in which sometimes these men talk about sex with their partners in really derogatory ways for things that are actually normal is pretty upsetting sometimes.
Yeah. And I think too, like quote unquote, what's normal and what's acceptable, I think, totally depends on other things that are happening, like context and the roles that you play outside of the bedroom too.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much nuance to relationships, and we mentioned this last time, and there's so much nuance to sex, and it's really about what makes you feel good, what makes you feel embodied, and what's consensual between you and your partner as well. And there's
I love this.
A little Dolly snore. I warned everyone last week there are going to be some Dolly snores. Here she comes.
I'm sitting here staring at my dog. He's watching me like, what? Kelsa's like, what's going on? Um, I love that. Well, this actually, talking about roles inside and outside the bedroom, is a good kind of transition into what I was really excited to talk about today, which is different power dynamics
Mm,
and how that comes to play within relationships and within intimacy. So, how this kind of came to me was that I was watching Real Housewives of New Jersey, which I'm really excited that there's finally another Housewives on my TV right now, because we went without for like a couple of weeks or months. So I'm really, really glad that there's, whether you love them or hate them in New Jersey, they are back, bitches. And it's been like the same cast. There has been, yeah, for a lot of the seasons. I'm trying to think, the OGs, like there's been a lot of them that have been on. So it was kind of nice because I feel like I know them and I'm just catching up. I do like the newbies though. Danielle will bring the drama. But anyways, I was watching this week's, I was really just been catching up, and I noticed that these women have such an interesting power dynamic in their relationships.
mm.
Have you seen any of this new season?
Okay, so you told me yesterday that you wanted to talk about it, and so I have not watched the season. I instantly went home and I was like, I've got to binge The Real Housewives of New Jersey. So I got through the first 3 episodes. There's only four, so
Okay.
I'm one behind.
Yeah, yeah.
So I saw the majority of what's happening.
So what's interesting to me that like sticks out are that these women really are like the dom, right? Like if we're talking in terms of dom sub, like they really do quote unquote wear the pants. They are the leaders in their relationship, but their husbands have provide this illusion that they have the power through money. And I was really dissecting this. Like these women are strong personalities and they
Hmm.
all are a force, that they all bring to the table something. And they really are the ones that make the decisions, that run the household, that, or at least this is what we see on TV, right?
Right.
And it's the same for all of them. Like I mean, except maybe Jackie, who is no longer, she's a friend of this season, but
I know.
that's
I
another.
noticed that.
Yeah, she, bye, like she was kind of boring, but um yeah, I don't know. I just was realizing that these women have so much that they bring to the table in a power dynamic. And what really got me going was thinking about the illusion of power that money brings. And I think
Mm,
especially at the beginning, before, social media, before everybody was somebody, um, maybe it was that their husbands did make more decisions and have more of that like kind of power, because a lot of them were traditional stay-at-home housewives. Not all of them, but some of them.
mhm.
And now that we see this, it's like, wow, they really are just letting their husbands think like, oh, you have this power and control, that you are this traditional man of the house. But it's really us. And I love that.
It was reminding me of My Big Fat Greek Wedding. Do you remember that scene where the mom is like, he might be the head of the household, but I'm the neck, and the neck controls where the head goes. And I was watching
Yes.
it, and I kept thinking of that comment that the mom in that movie makes.
Yes. No, that's exactly it. And I think a lot of it is probably cultural too, right? Like a lot of
Yeah.
them claim to be Italian Americans or Italian adjacent or what have
Yeah.
you.
How many of
But
them are actually Italian? Will we
it's
ever know?
I I don't ask questions. I just watch these people on TV. That's a great
How do you
question.
think so I'm curious, how do you think these power dynamics affect their relationships? Because I also didn't watch last season. So I'm like, I didn't watch last season. I'm just starting this
I don't think
season.
you missed much.
So what do you knowing these characters a little bit more, their more recent episodes, what do you think these power dynamics in their relationships do? Do you see it as beneficial? Do you see it as harming their relationships?
I mean, I think it works for them. So, you having not seen last season, you're not missing out. Like, I think it's a lot of the same over and over. I mean, I think the highlights have happened. Like, we all know Teresa went to prison, whether you watch it or not.
Right.
You know the general gist. We all know Teresa and Melissa hate each other now, and it's kind of just the same. It's just drama between everybody, but that doesn't really matter. I think for whatever reason, it's working for them. Like, I genuinely do think each relationship has, of course, their own things, but at least what we see, it seems really functional. And it seems like perhaps the men like that. Like, I see um, Joe Gorga and how his wife kind of just like, this is what's happening, this is what he's doing, and he just like goes with it and he's cool with it.
Yeah.
And I think it brings some kind of sense of security and stability
Hmm.
possibly in that relationship. I don't know.
I feel like also Margaret, her and her husband, like he's just, but it's interesting because these men are also like completely enamored with their wives.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
good thing. They
it
should
is.
be.
Yeah.
They're all boss bitches.
They're enamored with their wives, and the wives are really powerful. And I think that that can work with a lot of relationships. And I think it's healthy if it works.
Yeah.
Um, Sometimes it can be harmful to relationships, sure. But I would say the only time it's harmful is if the one partner is resentful towards the other one for being strong,
Yeah.
or one partner is resentful to the other one for um, wanting them to be a leader and they're not. That's where we can get into trouble.
So you're saying as long as there's like mutual agreement, consent to this, whether it's explicit or implicit, to this type of relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you might be a person, and here's a great example of more nuance in relationship. You might be a person that like really wants something more traditional. Maybe you're in a relationship where you want to be more submissive and you want your partner to be more dominant. And speaking outside of the bedroom too right now. And maybe for you that looks like having a higher paying job or taking care of things financially, taking care of the house, etc. Like the things we think of when we have these ideas of gendered roles, right? Or you might be someone who's like, I actually want to make all the money. It's important for me to have my independence, and I would not care if my partner's a stay-at-home parent. If as long as you find a partner who likes that and agrees with it and also isn't abusing you within these dynamics,
Mm,
right? Then that's a awesome relationship. Where we can get into problems is when people who have the money or the power use that to abuse the other person, right?
yeah.
And they're like, well, I have the money or I have the power, so you have to listen to me. You have to do what I want, otherwise I will punish you by either taking away your items or your money or the time we get to spend together, etc.
Cheating,
Cheating. Yeah.
justifying cheating, stepping
Justifying
out
cheating.
on, yeah. And I think even in Real Housewives of New Jersey, we saw that last season with Jennifer and Bill. And granted, the cheating that they talked about last season happened years and years and years ago, but you do see a traditional marriage that they were in these traditional roles, and he was, a plastic surgeon making all the money, had this power and control. You're the wife, you're staying at home. And I see ever since she's gotten on the show, and of course, she's bringing in her own paycheck, and I'm sure that they have their finances figured out. She has always had her own coins. But you see this, like, she's taking back her power. And I love to see that because they didn't ever separated. And I think that
Yeah.
I will give him the benefit of the doubt that the past few episodes that I have seen, he has kind of showed up and made more of an effort to be at least seem present. Um, and so I'm like, go all the way off, Jennifer. Like, love her or hate her because of what she brings to the table. She's really honing in this energy. And I love that.
Yeah, that's amazing and powerful too.
Yeah. So so we talked a little bit about like outside the bedroom.
inside the bedroom. This is what I'm going to say really quick also, because I ended with the third episode,
Yeah,
is
yeah.
that they were making fun of, is it Rachel's husband for his double-ended, they were like, well, the newspaper said he likes a double-ended dildo. That was so
Oh,
gross to me. It was like, we don't need, like, that man can like whatever he wants. He can want whatever he wants as long as he's doing it consensually. And
yeah.
to use that to shame him was really disgusting. It was just, don't yuck someone else's yum. If that's what someone likes, let them like it. Like, let them
Yeah.
have their sex that they enjoy. It doesn't affect you. What he does in his bedroom with whoever does not affect how he interacts with you. It doesn't affect how he shows up at these parties. It doesn't fucking matter.
Love. I love that you said that. I totally forgot that they had mentioned that. And I think too, we are it's my hope. I'm like very optimistic that we are evolved enough that I think largely the audience was like, okay, and like move on next. Like I think it maybe had 10 seconds of attention.
I think that the problem that I saw with it though is like probably the internalized homophobia, where if it was a woman saying that she had a double-ended dildo, they probably would have been like, "Oh my god, you're kinky, you're
Ooh,
hot, that's so fun." But because it was a man, they're like, "We're gonna shame you because of the internalized homophobia."
preach it.
So that upset me because I was thinking about other Housewives franchise when they've done sex toy parties and they've gotten there. I know that there's an episode, I can't remember which franchise, but one of them does get a double-ended dildo and they're all like cheering her on. They're like, "Yeah, that's so hot." And then now it's used against this man because he's a man, like, "Oh, he's a bad person." Because they're lumping it in with him being a drug dealer. Like, he's a drug dealer and he likes double-ended dildos. Like, what?
Yeah.
What the
Like
fuck?
like he got caught up on a weed charge like 10
Yeah.
years ago, and he also has a double-ended dildo. Like, yes, amen to the internalized homophobia, like you bringing that up because that is so I think that also them being a more like New Jersey is a very traditional franchise. Like they
Mhm.
haven't that's just kind of their brand and their vibe, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I would say they're more traditional. Like, very few of them have gotten divorced on that show, right? Thinking about the other Housewives franchises too, like there's cheating scandals and there's things that happen, but a lot of them stay with their partners.
Well, yeah, I think a lot of things happen and they just don't bring it to
Yeah.
light or they just kind of shove it under the rug. But like I think you and I were talking about this, how like each franchise represents the community in which they're in, right?
Yes.
And how that reflects on their characters and how they come across on their shows. So
Yeah.
in New Jersey, it's this traditional family unit, the 2.5 kids, the fence, the doodle. Hello.
Yeah.
They had a dude. I'm a doodle person, so I can't talk. But yeah, they're just like this very traditional type of family unit. And that's what they convey. And I think that what goes with that is a more conservative family unit as well.
Yeah, I would agree. I lumping in the like this idea of a conservative family a lot of times does go hand in hand with like slut shaming or set or kink shaming too, right? And I think that that's the problem that we're seeing here is like this idea of like you can't be kinky and also have a family and 2.5 kids and the dog and a white picket fence.
Yeah.
We're shaming him because he can't have those things and also be kinky or also have sexual desires that are maybe outside of what some people might consider the norm.
Well, I think what's also interesting is the fact that that's the case in New Jersey. And then we have a similar traditional type, like think of OC,
Yeah,
right? Like they
very
also try to
traditional.
convey this traditional, but we've had folks like Bronwyn come on there that she came out as lesbian. Um, and then a couple of people on that franchise have actually come out. And then Tamra, she's like this I have sex all the time. It's great. She was really had an era where she was like, I'm embodying fucking my husband. Like, that's my whole personality, which I
Yeah.
love. But I think it's interesting because similar type of vibe, but East Coast versus West Coast, and it's accepted because they're in California.
That's so true because OC is really conservative. It's a very,
Yeah.
very, as a town, my best friend lives there. It is a really conservative place.
But
So
it's, I don't know. Why do you think it is? That's interesting.
it's really
Why is it's
politically
acceptable?
conservative, which is interesting. It's the one kind of like red area in the Los Angeles region is OC.
So maybe that's some like they want to stick out from their community. I don't know. I'll need to chew on that.
True
On
on that
why it's
one.
more acceptable, like Orange County and them being, I mean, even who was it? I mean, they Orange County, that's the one they all take their tops off and jump in the like every time
Yeah,
that they're in Mexico and they always go to Mexico.
the
And they're
Tres
always
Amigas.
yeah. RIP. I mean,
I know.
more like it's Dos Amigas right now.
Just Vicky and Tamara, right? They're fighting with Shannon.
Yeah, they're beefing with Shannon. I
They'll
can't
figure
wait
it
for
out.
that season to start.
Oh, me too. I love that show.
Like it's always going to be a tried and true.
It really is.
So, okay, we were talking about these relationships outside of the bedroom, but what
Yes.
I kind of want to dive into is this power dynamic, power play, control kink in the bedroom. So, if I were someone that came to you and said like as a client and said, "Hey Rachel, I'm interested. I really want to get into it. I don't where do I start?"
hmm Well, the first thing I would talk about is consent. That would be the first thing. And it seems obvious, but there's when we're actually playing with power dynamics, there's a lot more consent conversations that need to be had, and there's a lot more contextualization that we need to have in these conversations. When is this power play okay? Is it okay when we're out and about with friends, or is it something we're only doing in our bedroom? And if so, like, what words do I like? You can call me a whore, but don't ever call me a slut. Like, so you really need to be super clear on what is going to turn you on within this power dynamic, and that's internal work, right? That's what turns me on of this.
Mhm.
And then I would help them construct conversations to talk to their partner. If it wasn't a couple I was meeting with, we'd practice having these conversations and practice bringing it up with their partner and how to bring it up in ways that are opening and not closing. And then what I would tell them too is like let's start small. You don't have to go like 0 to 100. You can start small.
Mhm.
And starting small can be something just as simple as a text of like, I can't wait for you to get home and tell me what to do. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be like, I can't wait for you to get home and suck your cock and stick my hands in your butt. Like it doesn't have to be super explicit. It can be something really simple, or like, I can't wait for you to pull my hair and call me your slut. I can't
Yeah.
wait. And it can also be, say you're the more the dominating one, of like, go upstairs right now and take your clothes off. That's a dominant thing to say. So what I would work with a client to do is like, what's an accessible place for you to start? What feels comfortable for you to say, and what feels comfortable for you to initiate with your partner? And
Yeah.
then I would go, and if they didn't feel comfortable even speaking it, I would encourage them to leverage text message or email or writing it. Those are all perfect ways of initiating these conversations and allowing you to have basically a stepping stone to saying it out loud.
Mhm.
Writing things down, sending it in text does not mean that you're bad at this or that you're not uh, confident enough. It doesn't mean any of that. It just means that you might need a stepping stone. And as you start to feel more confident in that, we can work with starting to feel more comfortable about saying it out loud too.
I love that. I love just the starting slow and starting what's realistic too, because I think
Yeah.
that if you kind of overshoot it, it may just take your partner aback and be a little confused about like, wait, what's going on here? Like, are you serious?
Yeah. Overshoot it. A great example, like a great segue into Jesse and Michelle of like them not having sex for so long, and then they're on this vacation and he's just like all over her. She's had no time to catch up to him. He is going 100 miles an hour, and she's like, I don't even know if I want to kiss you. And that was so cringy to watch him just be so, I think he was being dominant in the way he was. What do you think? I think he was being dominant in the way he was approaching her.
I think that he did a 180 with her. I think that outside of the bedroom, he is not like that. And he is not
No.
a dom like he in their relationship. and to just try on that hat, whatever the hell medicinal retreat did to him. he was
Wild.
he was like, yeah, let me try on this role to try, last ditch effort, anything to save my marriage here. And she just was like, she lives with the ick. Like she was not
Yeah.
about it.
But that going to 0 to 100, how much better would that conversation have been if maybe he said to her, like, I'd really like to, off camera, I think it'd be really fun to have sex this weekend. How do you feel about that?
Yeah.
It would really turn me on if we scheduled some private time. It would
Yeah.
really mean a lot to me. Going slow, like go slow to go fast. Don't dive in 100%.
Mm. Yeah, I think that that's really important to say too for folks who may be curious about this, is like, there's no rush to the finish line here. And there is no actual finish line. It's all a
Mhm.
journey, and you build upon it and you try on these different tools. And I think the key to success and the key to sustainability in this kind of trying on different power dynamics, trying on different things in the bedroom, period, trying on different things in your intimacy outside of the bedroom, it's one thing at a time. It's low and slow, trying things out. And when they don't work, or maybe one side of the equation likes it more than the other, having that kind of moment to come together and hash out what worked and what didn't, kind of give yourself like an evaluation or a critique about it.
Yeah, and as you're evaluating it, talking about it through the lens of what was good, not what was bad. So, uh, this is a big thing I talk with clients about a lot. I'm not saying like I hate the way you go down on me. That's going to embarrass them. It's going to make them feel a lot of shame. Instead, saying like I one time you did this and you used your tongue in this way and it turned me on so much, and I'd love if you did that again. That's going to
Yeah.
make them want to do that versus the other one's going to the other phrase is going to shut them down, or maybe they've never done it for you in a way that you like. Hey babe, I was watching this porn today and it was so hot, and the way that this woman was getting her pussy was so hot. I would love if you tried it with me. Do you want to watch the porn together? Like, try that and see if you can give them like visual clues or etc. to help them find out what you like, but always talk about it through the lens of like positivity, not negativity. Not this is what you did and I hated it. Instead, like, I would love it if you did this, or I'm curious if you did this how it would feel. Can we try this? I would like to try this. I think it might feel really good, etc.
Mhm. I always like to, even if it's not true, saying like, oh, I was talking with my friends and I heard that they did this. That also can give you an opportunity to bring it up in a subtle way that feels safe,
Yeah.
and that you can, kind of wedge it in there, even if you didn't actually have that conversation.
Yeah, or I was reading in my book and there was this hot sex scene and it really turned me on. Do you want to, can I like tell you about it? Do you want to hear about it? Is it
Oh, I
something you
love
want to
that.
try? Yeah.
Now that everybody's in their reading era.
I know. And I feel like so many people I know and a lot of my clients are like really into reading the Akatar books, um
Oh, yeah, yeah.
the the throne of court of thorns and roses. That's it. The whatever it is.
I am so like out of the realm. Like I can picture what the cover looks like. I know what you're talking about, but I have not read
It's
any of
like
that. But I heard it is
smut
like some pretty
fantasy.
good softcore porn.
Yeah, it's like fantasy smut.
Love.
Yeah. So you
It's
can even
like,
say the way I was reading this chapter and the way he pushed her up against the wall and said, I want you, turned me on so much. I would be really hot if you did that to me. Do you think that would turn you on? How would that feel for you?
yeah.
Make it a conversation.
Well, and actually looking at, I'm glad that you brought up again, Michelle and Jesse. We're
Mm.
probably going to talk about it until they're no longer on our screens.
Yeah.
But how they started their relationship was such a power dynamic, right? Like
She was
she
in
made the
charge.
decision to come over and she wore that outfit. I mean, hello, so hot.
I know, I was like, get it, girl. I'm inspired
Yeah.
by you. I want to be the you.
Like, how do
Absolutely.
I get a coat like that?
Yes.
Like a leather trench coat like that. So she had that kind of, she dominated the physical space, but he dominated the financial space. And she
Mhm.
they've really harped on that this whole season. He makes the coins, he likes the finer things in life, he loves these bougie things. And it's like, one, how far can that go? It can't, it's not always going to last forever.
Mm-mm.
But it was just very interesting on how that is how their relationship played out in that kind of power dynamic. And it's always, I feel like a power dynamic, it's so easy for it to start when there's a financial power dynamic at play.
Totally. That's really, really important to mention. Of there's already a power dynamic at play when someone is making a lot more money than the other person.
Mm.
It's
Or
embedded in a
holds, if you're working together, holds a position above you.
yeah.
So have you seen like Below Deck this season?
No. I
So
know. I'm so behind on Bravo.
no, you have, like, this one, it was so good.
Catch me up. Give me the
Yeah.
tea.
So I love that there is a lady deckhand. Her name is Sunny. She's super cute, super fun. And Ben, who's been in previous seasons, do you know who I'm talking about? Ben, he's like
Chef?
tan. No, he's
Not
like
Chef Beck.
the he's also was the a deckhand. And he
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
tan, I think he's Australian. Yeah. So they automatically had instant chemistry and were boning like immediately. And it was interesting because they started off as equals. I think he may have been like lead deckhand, but not like the manager. And then about halfway through the season, the captain told Ben, like, hey, I'm promoting you to both. I don't know these terms at all, but like head bosun or what
Yeah.
have you. And then I need you to pick a lead deckhand to replace your role. Um, and he picked Sunny,
Okay.
and they were still fucking. And that was like a moment where she had to take a moment to decide, do I want to continue hooking up with him? And it ruffled feathers around them, of course. People were saying, oh, she only got it because they're fucking
They're
and whatever. I
fucking,
thought
yeah.
that she did a good job. Yeah, because people don't want to see women succeed and have
No.
positions of power.
No.
Um, but I thought that that was really interesting in that kind of dynamic because he did kind of lay it down on her sometimes, like, I'm your boss. Um,
How did she react to that when you laid her down on her? Was she able to
it
separate it?
there was a lot of disconnect at first. Like, it took them
Okay.
both a second to try to kind of condition out how they were gonna let this ride, and they did stop hooking up for a minute, and then they just couldn't resist each other. So
Are they still together?
they are. I just saw on Instagram that they've been hiding their relationship from social media for this long. So I think
I
that that's
love
sweet.
that. Okay, I'm gonna catch up on Below Deck. I'll be
Yeah,
ready.
love a good boatmance. There were
I
some
do
other
too.
boatmances that were interesting, but we won't go there.
Do you remember when Kate Chaston fucked Jesus? That was like
Yes.
my favorite. When she was just like, I don't care, I'm not working for the rest of the day. I do too much. And she did do, she always was like the hardest worker, I think, on the ship. I think she worked her ass off. And she was like, I'm done working for the day. I'm gonna go fuck Jesus.
She, like, even after Below Deck, she is still one of the hardest working people in Bravo. Like, I see her doing all these different ads, and she had the
Yeah.
podcast, and she was on Traders and 2 seasons of Traders. I'm like, that girl working overtime.
I love her. I know a lot of people do not like her, but I love Kate.
I love that. I love that that's a hot take for you.
That's my hot take. A really strange side note, but about Blowjack. Have you ever seen Captain Sandy in Denver? Because you know she lives there when she's not
How did I
in.
not know this? I really was like a late comer to
Okay.
Below Deck.
So a few years ago, I saw Captain Sandy. She did this like tour, and it started in Denver, and I think there was only like 5 cities. It was at the Comedy Club in Denver, and she brought her now wife, which was her girlfriend, and it was Meredith. It was like religious trauma all over again. I grew up in high control religion for everyone listening, and like very, very controlling conservative Christianity. And I go to this thing thinking like, oh, this is going to be fun. Captain Sandy's going to talk. She's going to share about her experiences being a captain and like how she got in it. Cause a lot of her journey too was she started cleaning boats when she was starting to get sober, and like no one would hire her because she had had a really long battle with alcoholism, and then she like cleaned boats and worked her way up to being a captain. So I was really excited to hear her story. I go to this thing at this comedy club. This was She shares a couple stories, and then people start asking questions about Below Deck, and she's like, I'm not allowed to answer any questions about Below Deck. I'm like, why the fuck did I come here, Captain Sandy? That's what I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear the tea. She's like, I
Yeah.
can't answer any questions. I can tell you that the a couple things I can say is like, I don't hire them and I have no choice in who gets on the ship. I was like, well, yeah, we all knew that. And then she was like, and there are people that are hired specifically because they'll make good TV, and that's all I can say. Like, okay. But then her girlfriend comes out and she's like, I want to dedicate the rest of this show to my girlfriend, and she's going to take over because when she came out, her religion abandoned her, and she needs an opportunity to make her music again. So apparently she was really big in Christian music, and then when she came out, the church like ostracized her. And so Sandy used this weird comedy show thing as like a platform for her girlfriend. So then the second half of this show is her girlfriend singing gospel music. And
No.
there's like, Meredith, there's a fucking altar call at the end. Her girlfriend
No.
does an altar call to see who wants to be saved. And I was like, what in the absolute fuck am I at right now? It was the wildest thing. And I went with two friends who also really love Bravo and Below Deck, and we were just like looking at each other the whole time, like, is this real? Is this really happening? And then at the
What?
very end, yeah, oh, she just kept singing. It was, if you've ever been to like a big mega church, it's common that they keep singing at the very end, and then they say like, you can leave if you want. And it's basically a like, who's the real Christian type of thing. Like the people that leave right away are the fair weather Christians, and then the people that stay are like the good Christians because they're going to stay. They're like, the service is over, it's 12 p.m., we know people have to go, we're going to keep worshiping God. She did that. She was like, the show's over, but I'm going to keep singing, I'm going to keep worshiping God, you're welcome to join me. And anyone who just made their like, who raised their hand and said that they wanted to become a Christian, like, come on up and meet me, and I can't wait to welcome you into the family. And I'm like, this is so fucking weird, and this is not at all what I expected, and I feel like there should have been a trigger warning for this.
That's not what I was expecting you to say at all. Because I knew
Oh
what I know about Captain Sandy is that she's like pretty a hardcore captain and that she's queer and she came out as lesbian. So
yeah,
that's all. I was like, oh, it was funny. Maybe she's just really funny. That's really interesting.
she also said she loved Trump. That was a really weird thing. She was like, I love Trump, and I'm like, that's a
So
brave thing to
what
say.
did she market it as? Like a
She
comedy? Like was
marketed
she
it
joking? Was
as
that
a
a part
night.
of her shtick?
She marketed it as like a night with Captain Sandy, time for guest Q&A with
No.
Captain Sandy sharing her stories from Below Deck.
But then she's like, I can't.
She's like, I can't. And then also, my girlfriend being gay ruined her life and stole her music career, so I'm gonna give her stage to help bring her music career back. Like, it was
But
just the,
also I can't talk about Below Deck.
I can't talk about Below Deck, I love Trump, oh, and my girlfriend has a black child, and I'm just like, all of this is so, it
Casting
was
a wide net.
it was casting the widest net, and it was the most obscure, strange thing I'd ever been to. And my friend, when I left, she was like, are you okay? Was that traumatizing for you? And I was like, honestly, kind of, because like, I thought Bravo was the farthest away from my upbringing, and now I'm like thrust back into it.
Wow. Talk about the ultimate power dynamic is religion.
Oh,
We
and
could we could go all into that.
what a power dynamic in that relationship too, for her, for Captain Sandy's career really not to change, because she's been out forever, and then now this woman, they just got married I think a few weeks ago, but now her wife lost everything to marry her and come out, and that's a power dynamic too in a relationship.
Yeah.
My life doesn't really change. In order for you to be who you truly are, you're going to lose everything,
Wow. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. And you have to start from scratch.
and you have to start from scratch. I'll help you though. I'll con people into coming to my show, and then I'll like leave them in your hands as you sing gospel music, and
I think
passively aggressively don't let them leave.
I would take another season of Heather Gay's book tour over 1 hour of that.
I would rather go to Mary Cosby's church than go to what that
Ooh,
was.
that's really
Yeah,
saying something.
I know it was because
You
if I
think
went
she'll
to
be back?
Mary, I hope so. I think Mary Cosby's great TV.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Unfortunately, I think she is too.
She's. It's funny because Andy's scared of her.
Oh
Did you
yeah.
see the episode when she was on Watch What Happens Live with Z-Way?
Yeah.
Andy was like
He didn't know
this.
what to do.
He was like, I don't know what she's gonna do. Even Z-Way was scared of her.
Yeah.
Z-Way's not scared of anyone.
That lady, she has a power within her. Some kind of power.
I think going to her church wouldn't be as bad though, because her church is, you know what you were getting into. You're like, I know I'm going and it's going to be weird and it's going to be these things and I'm going to go for sillies versus this. I was like conned into it kind of
Yeah.
by false advertising.
Wow, that's interesting. Now I'm going to do my homework.
Yeah. That's my
See what
weird,
that's all
my
about.
weird Bravo encounter story about Captain Sandy.
So, do you have your ick? Do you have an ick of the week?
Oh yeah. My ick of the week is rosé that's too sweet. I was at a barbecue for Memorial Day
Mm.
and they're like, we have rosé, and they had a lot of rosé and it was all so sweet. It tasted like cotton candy and I was so disappointed. So that's my ick of the week, is really sweet rosé.
My
What
ick of
about
the
you?
week is Keurigs as a general thing because ours broke and they told me tough titties that I could buy a
Really?
new one. And I was like, this is a nice one. We haven't even had it that long.
Did you get it for your wedding?
No, we've had it like a couple years, but still, it just like shit out one day. Like rude, gross.
Keurig.
And they had the nerve to make me sit on customer service, like on the hold thing for at least 20-30 minutes for them to just be like, oh yeah, okay, thanks for waiting. There's nothing we could do. We'll offer you a 20% off coupon if you buy it through our website, which is already 20 to 30% off, percent more than if you went and bought it somewhere else.
Right.
Like
What?
weird flex. Yeah. I'm like, I'm just trying to drink my coffee. Maybe I just need a
But
traditional coffee pot.
listeners, help us get really famous so that we can get the attention of Keurig and we can get Meredith a new Keurig.
Yes.
So that,
Also, if you're watching on YouTube, please help us delete this AI thumbs up that keeps coming up for Rachel.
oh my God, it's so bad. It's so bad.
Yeah, we need help. SOS. Let us know in the comments how we can.
How we can get rid of the Apple
Yeah.
AI that's coming up on all of this stuff. The other day, it comes up with clients too because I use all video calls. And the other day, I did something like this with my hands. I moved them like in kind of a like what's going on type of what I meant, and it did fireworks. And this client was talking to me about something like not happy, not good, and it was just like fireworks all around me, and I was mortified. So if anyone knows how to
So
get these off,
SOS.
I really need it for this and for like my real job.
I love it. Well, this was beautiful and chaotic. And I love it so much. I love where we went this week. Thank you so much for listening. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, well, we won't hear concerns yet, but comments or questions, let us know. Reach out at Bravo Bedside Banter on Instagram and TikTok. We're on YouTube, Spotify, all the good stuff.